Hello, and thank you for watching this course on building a Cisco branch network. In this module, we're going to learn about the switches, the basics of what they are and what they do for us. So you arrive at the new branch office and you start unpacking with your colleagues there, a lot of boxes everywhere, and you find some interesting devices. You find 3 laptops, or maybe a bit more, some laptops there that could be used for testing. And you also find a partially set up rack where you're going to be working a lot. And you see there that there are 3 switches and a router. Now, what to do with that? So you face the switch and you see it looks really cool, has a lot of ports. Then what next? Right? What else? What do we do with it? So for starters, and to understand what to do with it, let's begin with how data transmission works. So here you see a laptop, and that tunnel looking thing is gonna represent our Ethernet cable, what you commonly call a network cable, okay? That cable is attached to the laptop, not in the graphic because we want to zoom it in, but it is attached to the network card of the laptop. So for starters, data transmission needs to happen through a process called encapsulation first, meaning, for instance, you're using Outlook. That's an application. That's what we call application layer, okay? And in the application layer, you create a message, an email message. There is a protocol or a means of communication in the application layer that we could call SMTP, but that's going too far. So in the application layer, a piece of data is created that will be sent through the wire. That's the basics of it, okay? So that piece of data, that email you wrote, before it gets sent into a network, before it's communicated somewhere else, it needs to go through a process called encapsulation. I will summarize some things because we're gonna keep it simple for this course, but one of the important things that happen during this encapsulation process is that an IP packet is formed. So IP sounds like IP address, right? Well, that's why, because IP, which means Internet Protocol, gives this piece of data a source IP address from the computer and a destination IP address so it knows where to go. That's why it needs to be encapsulated so others can see where it's sourced from and where it goes. And that's going to become very important as we learn more about how networks work. And then the second thing is, right before it's sent via the wire, it also needs another encapsulation. It needs to be encapsulated in an Ethernet frame. The Ethernet frame is gonna give it a MAC address. Again, source MAC address, which comes from the network card of the source device of this computer, and destination MAC address, which means where is it going? Where is it meant to go? And what happens then is that data will be decomposed in signals to be sent through the physical medium, which is the Ethernet cable. The Ethernet cable, what it has inside is copper pair, so copper. So that means an electrical signal is going to be sent, and that electrical signal we can visualize it as ones and zeros because at the end it's binary code transmitted into electrical signals. But those ones and zeros already have all that information encoded, the Ethernet frame, the IP packet. So by transmitting this information, it can be sent to a device that will take that data and send it to the right destination. How cool is that? And guess what that device is? It's the switch, all right? In an Ethernet network, Ethernet LAN, local area network, it is the switch that has a lot of cables. That's why it has a lot of ports. And it's gonna receive all of these Ethernet cables coming from different places. And it has the capability and the intelligence to know where it's receiving it from and where it goes by looking at the source and the destination MAC address. So that way, all of those communications that, as you can figure out, that's a lot because that was just a single piece of email message from a single computer. Imagine hundreds of computers sending all sorts of data at the same time, right? But because it has this intelligence, it can tell exactly where to send the data without mixing it up or making a mess. So that's how cool the switch is. And remember, in the physical world, the switches look like that, right? Not like the icon that we saw before. It looks like that, but the icon allows us to represent it logically, what it does and where it connects to. I think that's a pretty good introduction for us to jump in and go ahead and see how this works in an actual lab. So let's open Packet Tracer and start.